Oh yeah, Ryan tackled me.
No, that was a different one.
Oh. Hey!
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another great catalog show.
Kellogg!
We've got myself, Ryan. We've got Dave.
Myself.
And, of course, joining us to keep us both in line today, Megan is here to talk about her portion of the catalog.
We need an adult in the room.
As always. Well, it is one of our favorite times of year. It is catalog time. The C2 catalog came out on Friday morning, and we've had a lot of questions come in over the last couple of days already from people about the different product that's in there. And so we're going to take a run through the whole thing here today and try and give you some background and answer some questions. If you do have questions, please type them in, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube. We'll see them pop up here, and if we like you and if we can, we'll answer the question for you as quickly as possible.
What he said.
All right. Okay, so you got the catalog up there. Let's go ahead and get things started. You can look over here.
It's small too.
All right. Well, let's start off, even though it's not really new.
It's new.
It's new enough, and it hasn't delivered yet. So, Dave, you want to give an update to everybody on Base 3 and Cab 3 and all the goodness that comes with it?
Just like it was on Law and Order. New.
Leave the humor to me, Dave.
All right, sorry. Base 3, Cab 3 app. This is unveiled earlier this year in the C1 catalog. Big book, actually. Probably more of a status update for everybody on this, even though it's in the catalog and still for sale. We are working diligently on this and have been for 4 years now, trying to get this through and ready and in production, and had some snags here and there, and basically we want to get this thing just right instead of trying to rush it through. So might be iffy if it makes the year or not. It might be C1 of next year, first quarter of next year when it delivers, but the goal is to do it right and deliver it without bugs and just have an overall enjoyable experience for the user. So we keep working away at it, adding features and editing features, and working on the app as well. The app's coming along great and can control our new Class A locomotive with the 4-digit addressing, which is awesome. Mm-hmm. So a lot of new features, and I'm really excited for when the Base 3 finally gets into people's hands. Yeah.
That's right.
So remember when you're going through this that we still have the Cab 1L remote, and that will work with the Base 3. So for those of you out there who are fans of having hardware remotes, and if you don't already have a Cab 1L or a Cab 2 handheld remote, that we still do offer the Cab 1L, and those actually just arrived last week, I think, mm-hmm. Brian. So those of you who have ordered a Cab 1L, those will be shipping here soon, and if you order another one through this catalog or whatnot, they're here and available. So that'll pair nicely when the Base 3 delivers, hopefully later this year or early next year. And then the Cab 3 app itself, like I already talked about, that'll be available on iOS and Android. And it will come with the Bluetooth portion of the app for free when you download it. And to unlock the Base side of the app, you either pay to unlock that side of the app if you're using it with a Base 2 and an LCS Wi-Fi module, or if you buy the Base 3, you'll get a redemption code that comes along with the Base 3 to redeem the app for free. So a lot of stuff to look forward to here, but let's get talking about the new stuff, the exciting stuff in this C2 catalog, mostly the choo-choos.
All right, well, let's get started with the big one, the Brass Hybrid Challenger. So this is an all-new locomotive for us. This is one of our Brass Hybrid series, which we started about maybe 5 years or so ago now. It's been quite a few years.
Santa Fe Mikado was 17, I think.
Mm-hmm. So the idea behind this series is to bring to life some of the locomotives that would not be practical to do from an all die-cast tooling perspective, and yet are still interesting and popular locomotives that people may want to add to their roster. So this, for those who say, "Oh, we need more variety," this is how we can get a lot more variety into your hands. This Challenger is really nothing like the Vision Challengers that we've done before.
This is not a 3985.
No,
this is a unique locomotive that nobody's ever done before.
So these actually predate those the more famous Challengers by quite a few years, and these are what we're called the CSA 2 class Challengers on the Union Pacific. These started delivering around 1937, if I remember my notes correctly, 36, 37, somewhere in there. And they went through a lot of changes over their lifetime. So we've incorporated a lot of that into the different models that we have. And if we look here on the next spread, you'll see some of the different variations. We've done 3 different types of locomotives, and each of those types comes with some different deco schemes. The primary differences in type 1, 2, and 3 are all details only. There's no feature differences between any of them. These would include the size of the sand domes, some of the details on the pilot, as well as some of the running gear details are the primary differences. All of these locomotives represent their appearance circa 1944 or later, when they had all been converted over to oil burners. They all started off as coal burning locomotives. We went the oil burning route with all of them. So for each of the different types, there are 3 standard decorated versions available, 2 different road numbers, and then a third that is decorated but unnumbered. So that if you wanted to create your own road number, or if you wanted a good starting point for some of the other locomotives that had some other slightly different detail variations, we know there's some modelers out there who like that. You can pick one that gets you pretty close and then tweak a few things here or there if you wanted to make your own. And those are the unnumbered versions that you see there in the catalog. So those will have all of the decoration on them, including the Union Pacific lettering, the fine print on the back of the tender and under the cab, everything but road numbers. So that it would be a very easy decal job for somebody who wanted to increase the size of their fleet. And in addition to the standard paint schemes we have, you see here on this page, the pilot model, which is unpainted, just clear coated. And this gives you a good idea of how much of this locomotive is brass versus die cast. There will also be a Greyhound paint scheme. None of these earlier classes of Challengers ever got painted in the Greyhound paint, but we decided to do a what if anyway. And then on the next spread here, you'll see a return of the 49er and Challenger paint scheme, which is one of the more polarizing ones we've done, but in terms of sales was a big success. So we figured we would bring that back for another round here as well. All of these locomotives feature a full die-cast frame and chassis. It's actually pretty much the same running gear or chassis that you're used to under the Vision Line Challenger. So it's got a good solid base to it. These have all the features that you're used to in a standard legacy steam locomotive in terms of both legacy and Bluetooth control. These will also have the 4-digit addressing capability to go along with the new Cab 3 Base 3.
And an exciting note on that, just to hijack you real quick.
Mm-hmm.
As Ryan did mention, the unnumbered version of the Challenger. Now, standard unnumbered or pilot versions do come with the road number 9999 in the legacy system. So, for example, when you're running a 2-digit engine over a track IR, you'll get road number 9999. With the new 4-digit addressing, if you're using the Cab 3 app and the Base 3, you'll be able to set your own road number. So if you do your own custom details, whatever your road number is, you can set it in the database of the Base 3, and that's what will pop up and be saved. So exciting new feature, not available in 2-digit legacy. So
very cool. These do have stack smoke and whistle steam. And they will also have the 3-speaker stereo sound, which a lot of people really love in the big engines. So you've got 2 speakers in the tender, a speaker up in the front of the locomotive. So for the whistles and different sound effects, you really get that great audio play with these. Sounds better than just about anything.
Big engine needs big sounds.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're actually testing the sounds in the Class A right now, and sounds huge, doesn't it, Ryan?
It does. It does. It really makes all the difference having that extra speaker up there, and just I think not just having a 3rd speaker, but the location of it and the way that the sounds really are balanced.
Yep.
So really cool stuff. So if you're thinking, well, I've already got a Challenger, I've got 3985. This is a great, completely new locomotive. Invite you to take a close look at the details in the catalog. The print versions of these are in the mail and on the way. So a lot of you should be getting these pretty soon. Some of the hobby shops may have started getting theirs already. depending on the speed of the U.S. Postal Service. So when you have one of these in your hand, sometimes it's a little easier to pull them up and study the details up close. But you can mix and match, or you can pick your favorite variation, and these will double head beautifully with one of your other challengers or on its own. And really excited to bring something a little bit different into the fray for some UP power.
And who can pass up on the mustard and ketchup covered hot dog? 49er paint scheme.
Well, a lot of people could, but a lot more couldn't. So
good point.
All right. Looking, as I was blabbering, did we see any? I didn't see any specific questions on these. So we may do a follow up at some point with the design files and things and show these up in a little bit more detail.
Yeah, it's an engine worth its own show for sure.
Mm-hmm. All right. Okay. Next up, the other end of the spectrum.
Been a little bit of buzz about this locomotive.
Yeah, we've had a lot of talk about these L1 mikados since putting these in the catalog. These are former MTH tooling, completely revamped. In fact, Dave and I just looked at the designs this morning on these. One thing that we didn't put in the catalog, but was in the designs, these will have a kinematic drawbar, which is a nice little extra feature that helps keep that tender close to the locomotive, get things a little bit more close coupled there. Of course, these will have the infrared IR too, so you won't have the big tether back and forth between locomotive and tender any longer. We're testing our fire alarm system, so we were told that would not go off. Just bear with us. We're going to mute for a minute just so that doesn't blow everybody's eardrums out. We're going to mute for a minute just so you don't hurt your ears on the fire alarm. We'll be back. Okay.
All right, sorry guys.
We're back.
Fire alarm test.
Fire alarm testing today.
Got to stay safe here. All good to go.
We are all safe. No need to worry. Okay, so L1s. These were, as I said, former MTH tooling, completely upgraded with legacy and Bluetooth on board, whistle steam, a variety of different detail packages on these as well. Front end details will be either pre-war or post-war. There'll be doghouse on or not on the tender, depending on the prototype road numbers. One of the neat things about the L1, and this was a very prolific locomotive on the Pennsylvania Railroad, for those who aren't familiar with it. This was the freight equivalent of the K4 Pacific. There were over 400 of these on the line. The crews called them lollipops, and they were.
Why is that?
I don't know.
Because they were so sweet?
Probably. And they ran well into the last years of steam. A lot of them didn't even get the modifications and the detail changes. So you can have these in sort of any era that you want on the Pennsy, but a very prolific locomotive there. And a few of them did wander off to other railroads. So the Santa Fe, DT&I, and Lehigh and New England paint schemes that you see here in the catalog are all prototypical. We matched those to the different detail variations that we had on the prototypes. And including on the Santa Fe, we're bringing back the design and the brass tender from our first brass hybrid, the Santa Fe Mikado. So that's why you'll notice a little bit of a different unit price on that one. It has an all brass tender to make it correct for the Santa Fe, which nobody has done before. So
that one will get oil.
That'll have the oil sounds and everything else in it for the tender. So a very cool locomotive. We also have the unique version for the Pennsy, the 1369, up in the upper right corner of the catalog. That was an early experiment in putting train phone on the steam locomotive. So it has the radio antenna around the top of the boiler, which is kind of a unique and different detail. So we've added that on here as well for something a little bit more unique. There are two numbers each in the standard pre and post-war versions over on the left-hand page. The two will be identical in terms of the decoration. The only difference will be the road number. So the earlier versions will have the headlight out in front of the smoke box, the generator behind. They'll have the two-tone reds between the darker red on the cab roof and the lighter red on the tender per Pennsy paint specs. And then the post-war version down below, where the headlight was moved up on top of the smoke box and the generator out in front, those will have just standard green cab and tender deck roofs that they were getting by that point in time. So a little bit of variation in the locomotive decoration on those.
Same with the marker lights too, right?
Yes, marker lights will also be different. The bullseye red markers on the post-war, the pilot class lights, or pilot markers, and bicolor class lights on the pre-war up on the smoke box.
Lots of variation here. I like it.
Any chance the L1 can do an 036 curve?
It's actually something we're looking at now, because it was when it was MTH tooling, it was 042, but that's because that was the smallest curve they had. We're checking with the designer now because the drawings did have 031 on there, but I want to check and confirm that first. So stay tuned on that one, but we're hoping it'll do the smaller curves.
Yeah. For sure, 042. 036 is a definite maybe at this point.
Anything smaller than that, I'm not so sure.
Yeah.
So.
These are comparable in size to a USRA Mikado, but obviously we don't have all the details quite worked out yet.
Going big again.
Going big. All right, we've got the Greenbriers. Another neat locomotive, another former MTH engine that we're bringing into the line for the first time here. We've got several different versions of this. It's kind of a neat class. It's fairly well known, but unlike the L1s, there were only 5 of this particular version of the Greenbrier built. So it's a bit of a rarity in terms of overall steam engines go. But with the 614 preserved and having gone through so many different lives after its days on the CNO, these are a fairly well-known class and were some of the more successful steam engines on the CNO. They just really arrived a little bit too late to be well appreciated. Originally designed as a passenger engine, so you'll see some passenger cars here to go with that, but they spent a lot of their later years in freight service because the diesels had come on and started to bump them off of the passenger trains. Great legacy features on this again for the first time, including whistle steam and Bluetooth control. There are some different details from variation to variation in here. We've got the 614 will be done in a more of a glossy finish with polished rods, as it looks as either a fresh out of the shop CNO engine or in its later years in excursion service. The 611 down there below it have a matte finish and darkened side rods just to get a little bit more close to an in-service appearance. Then we also have the 614 in the chassis and family lines excursion years paint schemes as well. Neat one that hasn't been done before is the 613 with the smoke deflectors. The CNO experimented with these, I believe, on 2 engines briefly, and then one didn't last very long at all, and the 613s lasted a few months longer than that. But we like the look of it, so we want to do something a little different. So this has the elephant ears on there. You can see we've got some matching 18-inch heavyweight passenger cars to go along with this if you want to pull a heavyweight consist with the Greenbrier, as well as a nice new woodside caboose for those who may want to put it in a freight consist. Both are equally appropriate for these, depending on how you want to use them. And then last but not least, we've had a lot of comments on this one, the chassis-inspired Greenbrier. The chassis was Robert Young's dream vision of a new passenger train for the CNO. He was going to revolutionize and revitalize all the CNO's passenger trains, put in really big orders for passenger equipment. A lot of them never even got delivered. They got diverted to other places because post-war, the passenger service was just dying off faster than they could modernize it. But the chassis was supposed to be the flagship of that. And the original color scheme for the cars and the locomotives were an orange and stainless steel color scheme. So we've taken sort of a what-if approach. We know that the turbines they originally designed to pull this train were kind of a flop from a mechanical standpoint. But the Greenbriers were a very reliable design. So this would have been great stand-in power for the chassis had it continued on and not been dieselized. A locomotive like this would have been a natural substitute. And so we took the original orange livery on this. A lot of the passenger cars, we've had some questions, orange or yellow. The passenger cars did quickly after service start to get repainted yellow on the CNO to better match their other things. But we're going with the as intended and as planned for the train being an orange paint scheme on this one. The Hudsons were the same way. They started off orange and then went to yellow. As popular as this is, maybe we'll do a yellow version somewhere down the road.
Faded glory.
Faded glory, yeah. So there, anyone's asking, this one will be orange, and it's got the simulated stainless steel and fluted finish on there that we've done on some of our other equipment. We've got the 21-inch passenger cars to match to get you a nice chassis consist. It was a very interesting train and kind of a cool what could have been had it succeeded.
It's a color scheme a Greenbrier should have worn.
Absolutely.
It really is. It would have
Absolutely.
matched the cars great. I definitely like the elephant ear detail as well.
Yeah, that certainly adds something to the streamlined look of the locomotive without overdoing it,
Right.
overcomplicating it. And the Greenbrier, some of the Greenbriers originally intended to be fully streamlined. They just cut back on it due to production costs.
That would have been a unique look.
All right. Back to the smaller scale of things, the
Like a
260.
roller coaster ride.
Yeah. We've had a lot of requests to bring this locomotive back, and a lot of interest in it since we've recatalogued it here. The Mogul, this is based on a Canadian design. We've done a number of different versions here in the catalog, including for the first time we've done two with the Vanderbilt tender. Looking at photos, this is actually fairly close to one of the SP's 260 designs. So makes a really good stand-in with the Vandy tender there. As well as the SLNRG, which is still running today. So popular existing locomotives. Middletown and Hummelstown 91 is one that I grew up near and remember riding behind a couple of times as a kid and whatnot. So wanted to throw that one in the catalog for sure. And then Canadian National 89, which you can run as a Canadian National loco, or if you're a Strasburg fan, makes a good Strasburg engine too, as that locomotive has run in CN livery many a time and many a season up there. We've also got two packs of CN wood coaches to go along with it. Now, as a smaller locomotive, as much as I tried, I couldn't get Dave to agree to cram whistle, steam, and bell into this. It's just too tiny.
That said, though, we have made some definite improvements on this locomotive. And some may remember the last round of them in 17, 16, somewhere back in there.
Back then, yep.
It had a couple of issues, and so we've gone back to the drawing board, not just on the side rods and linkages, but also in redesigning the gearbox and adding an idler gear in there, which makes the gearbox back drivable this time. So it really smooths out the operation, and honestly, it'll make the engine operate like a larger steam engine with the smooth, slow speed operation and reliability. So there's a lot of new aspects to this engine that really are just new. So I'm excited for this one, and I think the road names that you've picked will really do this one justice. Especially, SP's not bad. But I think Strasburg guys love it too, huh?
Yeah, that seems to be the running grab on these are the two variations that we're doing this time for Strasburg. Both its sort of more current variation, very CN inspired, and then its original deco scheme on the Strasburg back in the 1970s and into the early 1980s. I think it wore this more lavish color scheme. We have had a few questions come in about the position of the headlight. The catalog art does show it a little bit lower and smaller on here than it actually will be in the design. It sits in the right location on the design files that we have for it. But we didn't have those design files when we put the catalog together. So the creative team did what they could with some of the older designs that we have. But that will sit a little bit higher, just above, sort of like almost like a Pensy pre-war L1 position would be. So that will be one little detail that makes a big difference in how that model is going to look, and that'll be correct on the final model for sure. We've also got two packs in the green paint scheme, the early paint scheme on the Strasburg Railroad. At the time these were painted, there were only these three coaches on the combine, so we didn't do an extra set of road numbers on these. Those who are asking about the 80s and 90s color schemes on 89, have no fear. There'll be another run of Moguls down the road a little bit, and we'll be including those in that one for sure. Especially that 9001. That's the one I'm waiting for. So definitely you will see those down the path.
Exciting.
All right. continuing on with the Strasburg theme, it's been a very popular one for us, and I think at this point we like to include Strasburg stuff just so we have an excuse to go back to Strasburg and have fun with the guys again.
They also have a lot of colorful stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
So this is one car that was on the roster for a while, but less known. It was owned by, I think, one or two of the vice presidents of the railroad early on, and it wore at least these 4 different paint schemes, the Pequea Valley. It's a former New York Central Pullman, and ran all over. It ran on the railroad sometimes, but also traveled the country. And if you look online, you'll find photos of it at least as far away as Denver. So even if you're not tied to the Strasburg and want to have a little piece of Strasburg or some run through rolling stock, this would be a neat one to grab. So it's got the early green and the later tan, also the interim paint schemes from its New York Central, Penn Central transition, and one that was sort of Pensy Pullman inspired that wore for a little while as well on their neat car. All of our standard 18-inch passenger car features on here. Especially in the tan version, it would pair up really nicely with the Paradise, the Reading Car 10. They sat together for a while at the station platform there. And then we've also got another wood-sided caboose here, Strasburg number 12. So a great one for your photo freights if you're running them with 89 or 90 or what have you. Or 31. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right.
Diesel
Heading
time.
into diesels. All right, this page hurt Dave a lot.
There's a lot. But I mean, tunnel motors, right? You can't really do tunnel motors and not do SP, right?
Yeah, and there were a couple of Southern Pacific paint schemes we hadn't done in the last round, and so wanted to include those here, as well as a few other variations in some fantasy schemes. So these will be full legacy control. There are some detail variations between the different road names, especially in the lighting arrangements, as appropriate for the different SP packages or for other railroads. The Santa Fe is complete fantasy, but the 2 roads traversed a lot of the same areas and would have had the same conditions. So the Santa Fe was no stranger to SD40-2s. In order for SD40T-2s would certainly not have been unthinkable. And then we have 2 prototypical SP paint schemes, both the Kodachrome, the failed shouldn't paint so fast merger, and then also the final paint scheme in the speed lettering, which we hadn't done in Legacy in quite some time. And then we also threw in just because it is should have been a Black Widow version as well for the SP. Had the original paint scheme hung along, and the more I see of fantasy Black Widow engines, the more I like them.
It's a really good fit for this engine, I think. Mm-hmm. And normally I'm not huge into SP fantasy because, daylight doesn't look good on everything. But yeah, this looks pretty awesome.
And we've also got after the SP UP merger, a lot of these went to Union Pacific, lingered on for a few more years. Then in the early 2000s, a lot of them started to get sold off to short lines and regionals. We haven't done the Susquehanna before, so we've got that one added in here for some Northeastern flavor. And then one that had been requested to us from a fan, had asked for this one years ago, and so we tucked it away in the back of my mind. And we said, well, let's give it a try. And once we saw the art, really, really liked it. Was the Western Pacific variation. Not a paint scheme we do very often, but it's a really good looking locomotive on this tunnel motor. And again, like the Santa Fe, certainly makes sense as a plausible buy. So be a very cool addition. All these are available in 2 powered road numbers, as well as a 3rd road number that is unpowered but has the super bass sound system in it.
Super bass.
So you can have all the noise that you want.
They rumble.
Mm-hmm.
So when you got all that hooked up together, man, it's a loud train. I love it.
Okay.
See, this is why you should never let me talk.
You add a certain je ne sais quoi to the conversation, Dave.
I don't speak Spanish.
Oh boy. Okay. FAs. Want to talk about FAs?
I don't know. It's kind of spooking me out here. Halloween.
Halloween. We should let Megan talk about the Halloween FAs.
Talk about the Halloween FAs, Megan.
I'm a big fan of the Halloween FAs. Really like the bad details on the locomotive, as well as the orange and black detailing.
Yeah, this was a cool one. The fast freight service paint scheme on these, of course, all fictitious, but a lot of fun. We've had a lot of good runs with our Halloween locomotives over the last few years in rolling stock. We always have some fun with the sounds on these as well. So I'm sure Dave and Tracy will be doing something cool again.
Dracula loves operating his locomotives.
All the FAs come as we've been doing with our cab units for a little while now. The AA set are both powered. One has sounds, one does not, but they both have full lighting and smoke and control features. And then there are 2 B unit options if you want to add on to the train. There's a powered with no sound and a non-powered with super bass. So you can build up an ABBA consist that will pull anything and drone you out of the house in a hurry.
It's impressive when you get it on the track. It really is. I mean, 6 motors, like Brian said, will pull anything, and then basically 3 speakers. It really does add a lot of volume.
So very cool engines. We've also on all of these gone to the to not putting the electro couplers on the back of the locomotives, so you get a closer coupler spacing on these as well. It makes them look a lot nicer going around the layout.
The A's do have them on the front, though.
The A's do have them on the front, pilots for sure, which is really where you need them. In addition to the Halloween, we've got 2 prototypical paint schemes here, Louisville and Nashville and Erie Lackawanna. So those are both fun ones to have in the consist. And then some more fantasies, but we know that a lot of people do have smaller layouts, like to run things on the 031 curves. Maybe you're running 15-inch passenger cars.
They're very friendly to those.
Very friendly to those, much more friendly than, say, an Alco PA would be. And so what you see here are, again, a Southern Pacific Black Widow, which was more of a freight scheme, but then also Pennsy, New York Central in the 2-tone gray, and the D&H, all inspired by their PA locomotives. So these will make a nice branch line passenger train or smaller railroads passenger train power if you want to do that, or put them on freight. Your railroad do as you see fit.
I'm glad you added SP in here because there wasn't much other SP in this catalog.
Yeah, I want you to feel the pain.
Rude. This one's cool. I do like this set.
Yeah. Well, talk about it a little bit, Dave.
Blue.
You always yell at me for saying too much, and then when I give you the opportunity, you don't say anything. This is a
very good post-war throwback paint scheme, and we might even have some special sounds that go in it, right?
Yeah, I'm sure we'll come up with some special sounds. It'd be cool to have like an air whistle, or not air whistle, but the earlier horn and different things in here. We've done some of the pre-war inspired in the past. We've done a few post-war inspired things here and there. But just wanted to try out a classic traditional post-war locomotive or set on something a little bit more scale. And I think it's a pretty neat look. We've got the 60-foot boxcar and the Northeast caboose to go along there with it. This will also look great pooling, whether it's the troop train of 18-inch cars that we have there, or all the other flat cars you guys already have with your military loads and things like that. Be great power for that. So something a little bit different in the military theme too than we've been doing in the last several catalogs, with all sorts of crazy camouflage and elaborate deco. This one just different direction on that.
Yeah, but still, I think I just love when we throw back to our roots. So I think it's neat.
Okay.
Now we go modern.
And the engines that really sort of started off all the craziness of heritage schemes over the last 15 years for all the different railroads, real and fake. All credit goes to the UP for getting us started on that. And it's been quite a while since we've run these, and we do get requests to rerun some things like this. The real ones haven't changed that much over the years, so we didn't have a whole lot that we had to change on these.
They're a little dirtier now.
Actually, some of them I think have even been repainted.
Wow.
They're keeping them up. So the addition of the PTC antenna on the roof is probably the biggest visual change. So we included that here, mostly so that folks who have the first run or folks who have the second run have an easy way to tell them apart. And of course, you'll have the newer electronics in these as well now with Legacy and Bluetooth, the 5 horns and so forth. Bells.
Just cooler. It's just cooler, Ryan.
So we've got all 6 of the UP heritage schemes coming back.
An SP.
I think you already have one of those. I think you're okay.
I do have the original.
But you'll upgrade because you're sick like the rest of us. And then
I collect SP though. This is UP.
well, so buy the Western Pacific one. So we've also got a couple more fun ones in here. We've got two from the Montana Rail Link, both their essential workers and veterans units. You probably saw some hints that these were coming with some of the special boxcars and cabooses we've done in previous catalogs. And then one that got a little bit of notice for a short while it existed. CSX sold some of their SD70s off to PRLX, a leasing company. And one of them mysteriously showed up with C&O markings on it for a little while, which were then eventually taken off. It was sort of the unofficial C&O heritage unit for a little bit. So there is actually a prototype behind this scheme.
No, these were around when C&O was still around.
Sure.
Right? Yeah.
But it's actually kind of a neat locomotive. So, and we did get CSX's blessing to do it. So a fun engine to have in the catalog.
Ooh, these are cool.
All right, some great color schemes on these, and these are sort of some new tooling here as well.
Yeah, we've made some changes to kind of update the H16.
Right? H16, yeah. So in their production history, the H15 sort of morphed into the H16 through some internal changes, and really in that change over time, there were not a lot of external changes in the car body of the locomotive. So what we found by looking at our existing H16 tooling was that with a few modifications, especially in the handrails and the trucks underneath the engine, what we had was just as accurate, and in some cases even more accurate for an H15 than it was for some of those H16s, because there were a lot of order-specific changes on these as well. So I said, well, why not? We've never done the H15 before, and there are a lot of really cool eye-catching paint schemes on this variation. So this will have the different trucks on it, the different handrail arrangements, and have been updated to an H15 locomotive using the Lionel tooling in 2 road numbers each in Rock Island, Central of Georgia, Rio Grande, Kansas City Southern, Monon, and Union Pacific. So a lot of these were purchased as passenger engines, but then really quickly went into freight service as well. So you can pull whatever you'd like with them. But really neat locomotive, and one that we hadn't done before. I'm not sure if anyone's done an H15 before. So
trucks on them.
have the appropriate trucks and the appropriate handrail details. A lot of them got changed later on in life, but these all typically followed the as-built designs on these engines.
Yeah. And we'll visit the sounds too to make sure they're prototypically, close.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Megan? Cool.
We're saving all the Megan's fun best stuff for last, but we're making her endure all this just in case Dave and I get into a fist fight over how many Black Widow things we put in the catalog.
I'll give you a Black Widow. 2
really cool legacy sets, both of which have had a little bit of buzz around them as well since this came out. The first is the Hagerstown Hotshot. The Western Maryland clung on to its last 4 FAs for quite a while after they had been retired from most other railroads in the country. And they were generally roundhoused around Hagerstown, Maryland. So they saw a lot of service in that area and were pretty well photographed in the 1970s. Only one of the 4 got the red and white and black circus scheme. The rest all stayed in the speed lettering. So that's why we did the mixed consist decoration here for the set. And then added in 4 cool pieces of rolling stock. You've got the 60-foot boxcar, the flat car with 40-foot trailer, and then the die-cast 100-ton hopper. Those were actually purchased by the Western Maryland for stone service in a quarry in southern Pennsylvania. And so that'll have a gray stone load in it. They got pushed into coal service later on, but they're originally stone cars. And then the circus-style northeastern caboose there at the end. FAs will have the same features that the powered AA sets had earlier in the catalog. Both of them are powered. Sound in the lead unit, both with smoke, both with lights, front and rear electro couplers, Bluetooth, whole 9 yards. So a really cool set, all tied to that area. And then if you head north out of Hagerstown up the Cumberland Valley, you could take either the Reading or the Pennsylvania. It was one of the older and more historic branches on the Pennsylvania railroad line. And so what we did for this set was actually picked rolling stock and locations that all sort of fit the Cumberland Valley theme. So you've got L1 number 520, which of course is the Survivor in Strasburg. This will have the pre-war details on the doghouse on the tender. The car right behind that is would be a car of supplies coming out of the Naval Depot in Mechanicsburg. That'll be a Freight Sounds car. So you have the normal Freight Sounds clickety-clack sound effects in there. Then we've got a bit of a fantasy car based on the Adams County and the area around southern Pennsylvania's big apple growing region. So we have the Adams Apples cars there. And then a flat car with a bump and go trolley load for Chambersburg, which had an extensive both trolley system in town and then interurban line. And that'll be a functional bump and go trolley that you can take off of the flat car and put on your layout and run. And then, of course, wrapping up with an N6B caboose. So all the cars were designed to fit that theme of that region and where they would have, could have originated or terminated on the line.
And you did your homework on that one.
Yeah, it's almost like I kind of know the area a little bit. I think I was homesick. But yeah, neat set. And
should have called this set Memory Lane.
Yeah.
It is a cool set, though.
Mm-hmm. All right. Heading into some rolling stock here. We've got some more TOFC flat cars. These have the 40-foot trailer on board, and these are each done to match the different Union Pacific heritage locomotives in the catalog. So whether you had the first run or get some from the current run, whether you've got one that's your favorite or you like all of them, these would be a neat addition that's will look good, in any consist, really. The flat cars are all the same, just with different road numbers. So you have sort of a unique, solid look, bit of continuity there. And then each of the trailers is very distinctive based off of the prototype heritage unit.
These will pair great with the heritage units.
Mm-hmm. Some 60-foot boxcars in a variety of licensed and non-licensed liveries. We've got the Reading and Northern. That's a one-off car. They use basically as a big billboard, but a pretty cool looking car nonetheless. We've got a couple of graffiti cars, 2 different road numbers. Both will have unique graffiti on both sides of the cars. Those have been and continue to be very popular for our customers. And then 3 different license versions. Since these were, these cars were mostly used in auto parts service, felt why not? We've got John Deere, Chevy, and Ford cars here for different part service for 3 of our favorite licensees. We've also got some new billboard packs there as well, which Megan, anything you want to chime in on those?
Got the 2 billboard packs, whether you're a fan of Chevy or Ford, celebrating their most unique or celebrated models year over year.
Very cool. I do like the graffiti cars. I mean, having graffiti on different sides, be different on both sides is a nice touch, and we always seem to do really good with our graffiti units. I mean, it's nice to see kind of a modern touch on railroads. So, plus Ford's better than Chevy.
Who had to borrow whose car this week?
It was a tire.
Okay, we've got some more rolling stock here. The 100-ton hopper 2-packs are back. There are so many different paint schemes that we can put on these cars. They were so common in the 1970s and 80s that we could probably put them in every catalog and not run out until you and I retire.
That's going to happen.
No, not the way we buy trains. But these are all different. There are a few that I want to talk about really briefly here because they don't all show in the catalog due to space. The Burlington Northern, these are all available in 3 different 2-packs. Burlington Northern, all 3 of the 2-packs are the same except for the road numbers. For the Chessie, we did 2-packs in each of the 3 Chessie railroads. So the first one will have C&O reporting marks. Then there's 2 with B&O and 2 with Western Maryland, with appropriate road numbers to go with each of the roads. Rio Grande bought their cars secondhand, and so they had some with blue and some with white ends. We'll have a 2-pack with blue ends, a 2-pack with white ends, and a 2-pack that is one of each. So if you're modeling a unit grand, a Rio Grande unit train, you probably want a little bit of variety in there, and so that way you can have that variety. They're all, again, very similar in deco, just the color of the end is either blue or white. Norfolk Southern, 2 of the 3 6-packs will be just like the black car you see pictured there. And then the first 2-pack has the special Pier 6 anniversary paint scheme that was a one-off on the prototype. So we included that one there. It's a really neat decoration scheme, but obviously there was only one of them, so we only put it in one of the 2-packs.
It's yellow.
It was a bright and colorful car. It's still running around out there, and when you see it, it jumps out at you in the train for sure.
I contributed.
The Reading cars were some of the last cars delivered to the Reading, and a lot of those made it all the way through Conrail without getting repainted. So if you're modeling Reading or you're modeling Conrail years, you definitely need a couple of those in your coal trains. And then just for my buddy Dave, a couple of some Southern Pacifics there as well. And the Reading and the SP cars will all be the same in all of the 2-packs, just different road numbers.
Just so everybody knows, he picks SP because everybody loves SP, not just because of me.
Yes, it does.
This isn't like insider trading or anything like that.
Yeah, no, it sells very well for us. So you are in good taste with lots of other people out there. It's probably why you're so popular.
That's why. Couldn't it all be because of Ursula or?
Yeah, the Ursula dress definitely helped your ratings.
Yeah.
All right, hobo boxcars.
There's no SP version.
There's Cotton Belt. I actually tried to pick some deco schemes that we hadn't put on a PS1 boxcar yet, which is kind of few and far between at this point. But we did come up with a couple of different railroads here. We only did 2 decorated schemes on this the first time we cataloged them. They sold incredibly well. Had a lot of requests from fans and dealers for more road names. So we pulled 4 more out there. These will have, again, the same features. You've got a pair of figures on board the train, and then the sound sets, in addition to the freight sounds, you'll also have some hobo camp sounds for when the car is parked. So harmonica. Yeah, you guys
bacon beans.
You guys had some fun with those as well. Really cool sound sets. Have we done those on the demos with Dave? Have you played those yet?
I don't remember.
I don't know. We'll have to get you on the demos with Dave again soon so you can demo that.
Okay.
Caboose. Oh, I hope that means we're coming to the end. All right.
Why, dry mouth?
I just feel like I'm a challenger here, just carrying a lot of dead weight along with me on this one today. We've got 2 different styles of caboose or cabin car, as they're properly called here in the catalog. The N6B, this is MTH tooling. You've seen a few of these earlier in the catalog. New to us, very nicely detailed car. All of these are in the center cupola version. I do think we'll probably get around to at some point after we've gotten through the tooling a little bit, coming up with some of the off-center cupola versions as well, because I'm the Pensy guy in the group, and I'd like an offset center cupola N6B.
Well, doing the different variations is nice,
Yeah. So lots of variations on these on the Pensy, and it's a really nice, good woodside caboose, especially with the center cupola was a lot more common on a lot of roads. So I'm sure that's why MTH tooled it that way, and wisely so. So a really nice car. These are detailed with interiors and figures, LED lighting. The marker lights on the back of the caboose are also illuminated. And then we've got 3 more of our Northeastern style cabooses as well, and some road names that had not been done before. They don't necessarily line up with cars in locomotives in this catalog, but definitely some things we've produced over the past few catalogs that did not have cabooses to go with them. And all these are prototypical for this style of caboose. So Lehigh and New England, Maine Central, and Rock Island variations on that. And there'll be really another cool caboose coming up here in a few more pages that I'm going to let Megan talk all about. All right, and then last but not least, I think in rolling stock section are our standard O cars. We've got our insulated box cars and our unibody tank cars. These are all available in 2 road numbers each. These are designed to be a little less detailed and a little less expensive.
Help you fill out a train.
Help you fill out a train. The insulated boxcars are actually in production now, and those will deliver before the end of this year. Most everything else you see in the catalog will deliver sometime, hopefully in the first half or so of 2023. But we've got some great road names on all of these as well.
Even some graffiti.
On the modern tank car. The U.S. Army cars are based off of a prototype car, Reading and Northern. So lots of neat road names there on that. All right, let's get into the traditional world.
Choo-choo.
And I'm going to turn things over more to Megan now. Megan, in addition to doing all of our accessories, has also started taking over our lionchief 2.0, lionchief sets, traditional rolling stock. She's got a lot more on her plate now. Thanks to all of her hard work, she's been rewarded with more hard work. And I couldn't be happier to have
America.
bring it. But we have a lot more to enjoy with Megan here in the future. And this is the point where I get to turn it over to her. Do you want to start off, even though it's not exactly news, because we announced it earlier, but we have the first sample here. And yeah, I don't know who's going to be. Actually, you know what? I'll put it here in front of me, and then Sadie, if you can bring up that camera onto the stream, we can show it off there.
Swap it out for the catalog.
Mm-hmm.
So what we have here is a pre-production sample of the Operation Lifesaver, a locomotive here. This will actually start shipping to dealers soon. If you've got your pre-orders in, they'll be ready to go. Check with your dealers though in case they've ordered any extra.
Mute it. There we go. Sorry about that. Just had to mute it.
So this is an LC 2.0 locomotive, and again, shipping to your dealers very soon.
Yeah, so turned out very nice on the
Yes,
sample there.
great details on this locomotive.
They'll actually be leaving the factory next week, I think, according to the note we just got today.
Okay.
All right, you can hide all of us now, Sadie, and bring up the important stuff.
Much
Thank
better.
you. Yeah. All right, get you into your first locomotives.
These are cool, Megan.
Thank you. So first off, in the Steam LC 2.0 section, we've got the 060T. This is back again by popular demand. We've got lots of requests to bring back this small steam locomotive with 4 different road names this time. So it's got your TMCC control in it. It's got the ability to be run with your Bluetooth app as well as the universal remote. Lots of people with smaller layouts will be able to add this onto their layout very easily. Again, just a really cool difference in paint schemes here. And again, just something that people have been asking for to bring back. So we delivered on that end.
That was one of my favorite engines working on. I mean, a lot of stuff stuffed into a really tiny engine, front and rear electric couplers, and then, a nice sound set with the speaker and smoke unit and all that. It really was not an easy project, but it turned out to be a really good product that, like Megan said, people have been clamoring to bring back. So we did very quickly.
Yep, and it's a scale locomotive too. It's just a small prototype. So even if you're a scale guy, you can still easily justify one of these on your layout. Listen to one of the podcasts over the weekend, and they mentioned that they had theirs from the last run pulling 30 freight cars around a layout. So it's got plenty of strength for a small locomotive, and some great road names this go around. I like the Lehigh Valley Coal one because that's one of the restored ones that's out there, very similar to the prototype, and it's one of those that you can go and ride behind, or even get some throttle time behind if you're in the right place at the right time and sign up for it. So a neat engine, a lot of people are probably familiar with.
All die-cast body and frame, it really helps with the traction. So. Cool engine.
Very cool engine. And on the diesel side of things, we have the NW2 locomotive, classic post-war Lionel schemes here. We've got the 4 road names here in very colorful paint schemes, with the exception of the New York Central. The rest of them have really bright seams with the 2 stacks on there. So a lot of, again, action-packed LC 2.0 features that work with TMCC, Bluetooth, or your universal remote.
It was always a popular engine when we did it in the lionchief Plus line, so it was only natural to do 2.0 with it. Very exciting. But again, I'm excited about everything. I just love trains.
Yeah, a lot of great post-war inspired deco schemes on these as well this go around, which I like. All right. Really cool new set.
Yeah, very cool new set with
Very
this.
dashing.
At least you didn't say nice rack.
Have the Santa Fe auto rack set here with the classic auto racks, as well as some additional auto racks to add to your contest here. Look great next to the Roscoe Flats Tire and Auto building.
And we've got some add-on cars there as well in the Ferromex and Southern Schemes. So it's classic Lionel tooling. And yeah, back again.
I think it's a cool set and cool add-on cars.
All right.
Ooh, milk cars.
Cars. This is one we have not done in the catalog for quite a while.
Or butter cars.
Yeah, butter dish cars.
Butter dish, thank you.
Mhm.
Milk, butter, it's
Well,
dairy.
they carried milk. They just got the name from their shape.
There's dairy in the air.
Mhm. Wow, Dave.
No.
I think I liked it better when you weren't talking. One thing we are changing on these this time around is we've moved from what was a very small and unimpressive flat car. I've lost Megan completely on the previous renditions to a standard O flat car, which is a little bit more in keeping with the size of the car. Of the butter dish there. So a really fun car. Glad to see we brought these back in the line, and the Cowan's Creamery is a neat one. Decoration scheme there is on the Lionel Lines flat car. Couple of great made in USA cars here.
Bazooka.
The Bazooka Joe 75th anniversary on the bubble gum. I remember these things when I was a kid. I was never much of a bubblegum chewer, but I definitely remember these.
The comics were fun.
The comics were fun, and both of the comics on here have kind of a train theme to them too, which is pretty neat. So this is a licensed product with them for their anniversary, and it was a really fun piece to add in there. And then we've got our Railroad Heritage collection going as well. We've got the anniversary for the Milwaukee Road boxcar. Some really cool graphics
I
on
thought
that one.
looked excellent. I mean, I know we did it last catalog, but it just is a really good looking scheme.
Yep, and those should deliver this year in time for the anniversary. And then delivering next year will be the 75th anniversary of the 1948 Railroads Fair in Chicago, which was the last of the great Railroads Fairs, where railroads from all around the country sent displays to Chicago, some of them operating, some of them static, whether it was their newest equipment or some of the old relics like the DeWitt Clinton and the stuff from the Virginia and Truckee dolled up to match the Jupiter and the 119, which of course weren't extant at the time. The B&O's historic collection, the Penske's historic collection, one of the great railroad fairs. Wow, I don't know. Anyway, so really neat bit of history there. We've also got two great new personalized cars in the catalog. For those who are car collectors, whether you're Team Bowtie or Team Oval, an opportunity here to get your picture with your other baby on a personalized boxcar. These are available direct through Lionel only. If you want to purchase those online, just go to lionel.com. Those are available right now.
Or it's still better.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for agreeing.
Yep.
Yes.
All right. Now we get into one of the really cool items, and this is one that's been in the planning stages for a while.
Yes.
Megan, I'm going to let you talk a little bit about the Billups Crossing and how much fun it is, and then we're going to actually demonstrate it here for you.
I'm lucky enough to bring some show and tell to the show here with the Billups Crossing here. This is a crossing that there was only one in existence, named after Alonzo Billups, who patented and solved a problem at a very dangerous railroad crossing here. So this is a very loud, noisy, in-your-face type of crossing, so that when people approach it, you know that there's a train coming. I'm going to demonstrate it real quick for you here, or have Ryan run it over there.
Yeah, hold on. Let me switch the screen.
Switch the screens
You
over.
guys can see it. Now this is activated by the isolated rail that does come with the two 5-inch sections that'll go on either side. And you can put other track in between to make the isolated section further out. So depending on how awesome or how long you want the accessory to activate for.
So people described it as being like an air raid siren. This does have the sound on-off switch, so that if that sound is too loud for you, you do have the ability to turn it off. What's also cool is that it has the detection telling you which way the train is coming from. So alerting people to be looking that way to show that the train is coming and on its way. Again, this will run on both AC and DC. And like Dave said, you can add additional pieces to it to make the activation trigger longer if you wanted.
It'll work just like any of our activation track activated things or other crossings. Really easy to add in on your fast track layout. I'm sure for non-fast track users, you'll find creative ways to disassemble the base and use this with other track as well, because it's just that cool of an accessory. You're going to want to have one of these on your layout, even though there was only ever one of them in existence. It's just too cool not to do this. So
yeah, and the construction's nice. I mean, a lot of it is ABS plastic, but we have a brass tube going up for the wires. The whole walkway underneath is all brass, and the handrails.
Mm-hmm.
So really a nicer accessory, and I'm glad that we went down the path of doing this one.
Yeah, this has been a fun one to put together. As you know, I'm a huge Halloween fan. You're going to hear me talk about Halloween every chance that I possibly get. This really fits with that theme, as well as just a really cool piece of railroad history. Also, we have some really new fun accessories coming back that we haven't done in quite some time. The roadside diner is one that we hadn't done probably in about, I would say, maybe 7 or 8 years since we've done it. What we're going to do on this one is we're going to modify the sign, bring it down, and light it, which is something that we hadn't done previously. So that'll really give it some exciting charm. And also, for those of you that have picked up all of the different Amtrak schemes, we did do an Amtrak passenger station to add to your layouts.
very cool.
All right, and I have another show and tell item for you here today. We're doing the Cohen's Creamery with the caboose. I don't know if any of you have seen, and I'm sure you have, riding out small town America, people are taking these cabooses and they are repurposing them into different food trucks, shops, ice cream stands. So really taking the JLC and running with it and creating just a fun ice cream shop. What's really cool about this is it's going to come with a decking here that you'll get a kit within your set that you can then
That Dave can drop.
Then you can put together. There'll be some easy instructions in there, really easy to put together. What's nice is it'll come unfinished. So if you want to stain the deck, weather it, add figures onto it, it butts up right against your fast track so that it clears and looks like it's a straight walkway for people to order their ice creams and snacks.
Yeah, really cool piece. And these, you mentioned, are going to be made here in the U.S., and then we'll be adding them in with the cabooses. So a fun piece, and really great. Lots of ideas we can run with this one for quite some time in terms of doing cabooses as not caboose sort of things. You see them everywhere, and really neat thing to have.
And they're authentic plywood too, so even just putting a clear coat on them would make it really look nice.
Yeah.
Clear coat, a stain or paint, or just as it is, it doesn't look bad. We'll probably have Megan on and do a Workbench Wednesday and do something with these down the road.
Yeah, I really enjoy painting this up and seeing what fun things we could come up with. And what's really cool, the caboose that comes with it, you can pull that around your layout. If you don't want to have it parked on a siding, you can run it on your consist. And it does come with a 10-inch piece of fast track with a PEP cable on it so that you can plug it in off the side and have your passengers come through and do their ordering.
Yep.
We also have, in addition to a previous set that we had done, we had some fictional road signs that were well received. Ryan came up with a really great one that says "Stop, layout ends here." We've got the cool reindeer crossing. We've got the fly taking away the person. Directions very unclear on one of them. So these are really fun, low cost addition to add all around your layout for good talking points people can ask questions about.
The mosquito one reminds me of summertime here in North Carolina.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Also, what we've come up with this year, really fun, is taking some existing tooling that we had and repurposing it into something new. This was actually a building that was part of another accessory. What we've done is we've pulled that off, added some sounds to it. Both Grandpa's Workshop and the She Shed will both have their own unique sound sets within them. Really easy PEP plug-in, and again, those sounds will kind of sequence through. Very unique. Well, I'm sure we're going to have a lot of fun with the sounds within this building. But again, just a repurposed shed.
Some cool sounds.
With very cool sounds, yeah.
Yeah. You can't have too many sounds on a layout. Just adding some background here and there really goes a long way.
Ooh, colorful.
All right.
So these are really fun. I know a lot of people model carnivals. So to add some fun to your already big carnival layouts, we added some carnival midway game stands. This is something that we haven't done in quite some time. What's really cool about these stands is that we're giving you all of them in one go. You're getting the darts, the balloons, and the what's that called? Little clobber guy where you throw the balls at it. Comes with 9 figures, so very good variety of figures in there and a lot of bang for your buck. You get all 3 of them so you don't have to choose because they all look amazing.
We stand the stands.
Yeah. Also, rounding out the carnival theme, this operating accessory, the carnival treat stand, has been done in different paint or different schemes before, and they're always very popular to add some action to your layout. So just, again, another addition to adding the carnival stands. And then backed by popular demand is because we're running the carnival treat stand, we decided to do a rerun of the fake news stand for those of the people who weren't able to get one last time.
Someone asked if the carnival stands are lighted. I don't think these are.
They are not.
But it would be very easy if you wanted to add lighting to them, to put an LED or a bulb up in there and tuck the wires around. Wouldn't be hard at all to do that. Another good question that came up, and it's a definite possibility for down the road, is the platforms for the caboose might be available separately somewhere down the line. And while it's not planned that way right now, certainly if we see more demand for something like that, it'd be something we definitely could do that.
Very much so. This is a new company we're partnering with. It's the first time that we've worked with them. Dave designed this wonderful decking here, and I expect that we'll see more out of this company, US-based, to come.
All right. Our power. Show this page just to mention that there are a number of things currently in production as far as transformers go. We know they seem to always be hard to get, no matter how fast we can make them. We're always trying to catch up, but we have all of the transformers in production right now. So your power needs should be met here by the end of the year.
Yeah, we'll definitely have all of them come in by the end of the year.
All right. And then we'll wrap up with our American Flyer section. We've got some new products in here, as well as some things that are being brought back forth from the previous catalog as a second chance. We had orders on them, but not quite enough orders on a lot of these to make them, but yet too many orders to where we didn't want to just walk away from them. So we thought we'll give you a second shot at these in hopes that some of the PAs and other things might get made. All new for this catalog are the 4 Baldwin switchers. We've got a couple of different paint schemes there. Interestingly, the Chesapeake and Western is a locomotive that you can see in Roanoke, Virginia. Baldwin 1200 is in Strasburg. Of course, Santa Fe Baldwins are always popular. And then we did one of the 2 Tuscan Pensy diesel switchers as well, which is actually a prototype-based engine. So it's sort of a neat one to throw in there. And these have all the same great features that's why that we've had in the past several runs of these. In Legacy, we have the PAs. These are back again as a re-showing from the previous catalog. These have full legacy control. New for this round will be the pilot covers over the lead unit to hide that really big hole in front, since most people typically only use the tail end of the engine, the tail engine to couple your train anyway on these. Be a nice additional detail there. 4 really attractive color schemes, and then matching sets of 4-packs and 2-packs of streamlined cars to go with them, as well as the Santa Fe Gold Bonnet set. This did well for us in O scale, and I would like to try and make a go of it in S gauge as well. It's based off of a special train that ran on the Santa Fe in California for a few weeks. Week's time was a promotional event with the gold painted PA and the 4 cars with gold trucks. Really unique color scheme and piece.
It's too bad it was short-lived.
Mm-hmm. One of those things you'd like to see come back again today.
Yeah.
For rolling stock, we've got some add-on, some more auto racks available in 2 road numbers each. Of course, this is the same as our O gauge, O27 tooling, but actually when you scale down the dimensions to S, it's almost spot on for a modern auto carrier. So we have these available. When we do them for one scale, we try and do them for both, just to make it easier for guys who now buy a lot of these and convert them themselves from one to the other. And then as well, we've got to round out the catalog, some great flat cars. Didn't go do anything crazy on these, just they're there and easy to put whatever load you can imagine on them to help round out your rolling stock roster in your American Flyer.
Perfect.
All right. Well, we kept this one to under 2 hours, Dave, so that's pretty good for us.
You kept it under 2 hours because. Blah, blah, blah. I'm sorry. I love you.
All right. I'm looking to see if we had any other questions about the product in the catalog. Lots of good product suggestions came in as always.
Seems they like
during
the Phillips.
this.
It was a really good idea, Megan.
Mm-hmm. Very happy with that one. That's going to be a lot of fun. And I think once you see the painted and decorated version, which will keep some of the lights from bleeding through in various places, it'll look even better and more cool.
Yeah, this was just a 3D printed prototype, but definitely something you'll probably see Megan also show on the Demos with Dave show in the future.
Yeah.
Thanks everybody for tuning in today, and we wanted to drop the catalog live on Friday so that everybody can marinate over the weekend on it and listen to Ryan talk about it for 2.5 hours on Monday. So it's been a great catalog and a great show. And okay, you didn't talk that long, but
on to more and exciting things. There'll be some more social media follow-ups, both here on our channels as well as with some other great partners of ours. We'll be doing the Matt and Matt podcast in a couple of weeks. We have an exchange coming up with Train World. I believe we have some more great social media plans for on-site as well for a variety of topics. The order window for this catalog is open through the beginning of August, so please see your favorite Lionel dealer and contact them about when their order windows open and close, so that if there's anything you want to pre-order, you can get those pre-orders in. All of the legacy locomotives are build-to-order program, as they have been for several years. So we base the order number off of the orders that we get from our dealers. So if it's something that you want, we always encourage people to go and place those orders. Even if it's not build to order, we still encourage you, if it's a must-have for you, to go ahead and place those pre-orders. Things like the 060 switchers last time came in and were gone. By the time we produced them, we probably had more back orders in the system for them than we could handle. So even if it's not truly build to order, doesn't mean we build a million of them. So if it's something that's definitely a must-have on your list, we always encourage you to see your dealer and get your order in and see them for pricing. We encourage that. Again, you've got a few more weeks until you have to make your final decisions. So you still got plenty of time to peruse the catalog and think things over.
What is the deadline date, Ryan?
It varies from dealer to dealer, but I believe it's typically around the 1st of August. That first week of August, somewhere in there is usually, or maybe it might be a little bit later than that. Maybe it's the 13th of August. But
get your orders in by tomorrow.
Yeah. Forget how late we are in July already.
Yeah, I know.
The summer is flying by. But Megan, any parting thoughts from you?
I just want to thank everyone everyone for joining us. I look forward to showing you some more projects and sharing some more fun samples of accessories as they come through.
Dave? All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Have a great and safe afternoon and week, and we'll talk to you again soon. Happy railroading.